The process of getting a pool built is a lot of things, but fun is not one of them. So if you're building a pool or you're planning on getting one, buckle up, this video is for you. There is not as much regulation for pool companies compared to construction companies, for example. I mean, basically, anyone with money and the desire to build pools can start a pool company. Let me tell you, I know the pictures on the website are beautiful. I'm sure they're saying all the right stuff to get you excited for your pool, and it is exciting. But here's the thing, pool companies do not have a good reputation. So in this video, I want to talk about some things you want to think about if you're planning on getting a pool here in St. Louis. Have a healthy amount of skepticism and distrust for what they tell you. Take everything with a grain of salt. So here are the things I'm going to talk about in this video when it comes to having a pool built. Think of it like some do's and don'ts. First, interview multiple companies and get multiple bids. It sounds obvious, I'll explain in a minute. Second, talk to an attorney before signing anything. This video is not legal advice, but if you're getting a pool built, you're going to want some. Number 3, document everything, take pictures, take videos, and get everything that is agreed to in writing. The attorney you're going to talk to will probably tell you the same. Number 4, expect it to take longer than the pool company tells you. I'm not talking a couple weeks longer, I'm talking months longer than what they originally tell you. Number 5, expect it to cost more. It could be an extra $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 that you might have to spend if you're building a pool and things either don't go according to plan or things happen that you didn't expect in the first place. Number 6, call the subcontractors, call everyone involved in the process so that you know your pool company is doing what they tell you they're gonna do. And number 7, have a good landscaping company lined up because that pool is gonna fuck up your yard. The backyard, obviously, but potentially the front yard too, depending on how they have to get to the backyard. Hey, welcome back to the Living St. Louis channel. My name is Jacob. If you're new here, getting right to this video. This is coming from my experience, observations, things that I've noticed as a real estate professional with pool companies. So the first thing, get multiple bids and talk to multiple companies before you commit to anything. Now this might sound obvious because you want to shop around, you want to see how they compare with price. That's important, but you want to compare them in other ways than just price. Whatever your experience is with the company getting quotes, that might be a representation of what it's going to be like when you work with them, but it might not. I mean, if their salespeople can say the right things to get you to pull out your checkbook, a lot of companies can drop the ball after things are signed. Pay attention to how they treat you. I'll tell you what, I just had a client and also a close family member get a pool. She talked to 3 companies. Pooltron charged $500 to come out once and then never returned phone calls after that. Liquid Assets actually never returned any phone calls in the first place. And then Premier Pools and Spas was the one that she ended up going with. And I'll get into this in a minute, but they fucked up a lot of things and it was a pain in the ass. And I can show you footage of what it looks like, what happened. Is the pool beautiful? Yes, it is. The struggles along the way and the mess ups that happened with the pool company is kind of ridiculous. And unfortunately, it's not uncommon. It's almost like you gotta prepare for the worst. You gotta expect them to lie, to cheat, to not do what they're saying, and expect them to screw you over and be prepared for it. My point being here, ask around, see what other people have to say, see how long the company's been in business, because if they've been in St. Louis doing a good job for 30 years, great. If they only got into the business 2 years ago during COVID to build pools, you might want to think about that. See what kind of dirt you can dig up on that company to see if they've fucked up before, if a lot of people have good things to say or bad things to say about them. People might have different things to say about the same company if they use them to actually build the pool or if they're just using them to service the pool for maintenance. Number 2, get an attorney, talk to a lawyer before you sign anything. Again, this is not legal advice, but if you're getting a pool, you're probably gonna want some at some point. You wanna make sure that your contract lays out the dates, the time frames, who is responsible for what. And here's the thing, it's probably gonna be favorable to the pool company to protect them. And there might not be a lot of things you can change with your attorney because at the end of the day, if they don't wanna accept your contract, they technically don't have to. But at least make sure you're going into it eyes wide open, have an attorney review it so that you know where things might go wrong, and just make sure that you understand every part of the process. Hopefully things don't go wrong, but you can at least anticipate what might come up based on what that contract says. Like if they don't give you a defined start date or end date, or at least a rough window of time, you want to think about that, because if that contract doesn't have any dates in it, that could be a problem. And you want to make sure that you understand what the contract outlines as your responsibilities versus the company's. So if that contract says that you as the consumer are going to set up appointments, call subcontractors, call the city, get inspections, you want to think about that. And if you have any phone calls or in-person conversations, you want to make sure you have everything in writing that you're agreeing to, or the pool company is promising to do for you. And the reason I bring this up is because, like I said, we just went through an experience with Premier Pools and it kind of became a shit show. But in the contract, one of the things that was outlined that she didn't realize, because we didn't go through this with an attorney beforehand, is that the contract said the consumer is responsible for getting the pool heater. And of course, we didn't realize that until afterwards when the heater wasn't hooked up, and that was a whole pain in the ass to get figured out. Expect it to take longer than they tell you. So we started the negotiations and the planning a couple months before breaking ground when we worked with Premier Pools. They promised 3 months for construction, started in May, and they said by the end of summer at the latest, the pool would be completed. Well, let me tell you, it took 16 months and an extra $20,000 to get everything back together. And let me tell you, at this point, it's 18 months later after breaking ground. It's most of the way done, but there are still things that have not been done yet, and it is infuriating, let me tell you. If you read reviews, that's not uncommon. Like this review right here, 11 months from groundbreaking to completion. The build was slow and there were several months with no progress. I can tell you, I've seen the same thing. It might be 6 to 8 weeks at a time where no one shows up, no progress is being made, they're not doing anything to that pool. I mean, here's another one, Prestige Pools and Spas. Again, no follow through in 11 months. And it really freaking sucks that more than just a few people have had this happen, but at this point, I'm not surprised. So, I mean, if you've got a pool company telling you, hey, 2-3 months, you'll be good to go, expect that that might not be true. So definitely expect it to take longer and expect it to cost more than they tell you. And there are different ways to structure your payment, from the down payment to the finished pool. A lot of times you might see something based on major completions. So you might see it split up into 3 payments, one up front, one in the middle, and then one at the end. Or it could be split up into 5, 6, or 7 payments after the company reaches their major milestones. Now, when I say expect it to cost more, the company very well could stick with their quoted price they gave you, but here's the thing, there's gonna be more stuff you have to pay for outside of the pool. With my client who just did this, an extra 20 grand that she had to spend after Premier finished. It was $2,000 to get the gas line put in for the heater because Premier forgot to do that when they built the pool. $6,500 for sod to clean up the yard because the yard was destroyed. $2,000 for an attorney who got hired after the contract was signed to clean up the mess. $6,000 to redo the irrigation system because Premier destroyed the in-ground irrigation system. Those sprinklers are gone. They broke the fence, they broke the gate, they destroyed part of the front yard, getting their trucks into the back to build the pool. So that's what I mean. There are gonna be extra expenses and other things you have to pay for when things go wrong or things get messed up and you have to fix them because the pool company destroys your yard. Number 6, you wanna call the city, subcontractors, inspectors, whoever else is involved in the process to make sure that your pool company is doing what they told you they were going to do and sticking to their time frames. So if they told you they already pulled the permits to get started, call the city and make sure they did. If they tell you you're on the schedule to get plastering done, you want to call the plastering company and make sure that you're actually on the schedule and that your pool company is not lying to you. If the pool company tells you they're waiting for a certain person or they need someone else to come in and do something, call them and make sure it's real. As ridiculous as that might sound, I'm being dead serious. It's like you almost have to micromanage them every step of the way to make sure they're actually doing what they said they were going to do. And number 7, have a landscaping company lined up after the pool is done to put your yard back together. Depending on what kind of landscaping you already have, they might kill the grass, the trees, the bushes, anything in that backyard that is near the pool or that is near the entrance to get to the backyard, they might mess a lot of stuff up and you're gonna have to put it back together when they're finished. Now, if you're watching this video and you wanna prepare for the worst, or if something's already gone wrong and you need some help, some helpful resources you might want to reach out to if things are not going well. If your pool company fucked up, call the Attorney General. Call the local government for the city you live in. You can go to the elected officials of your city. Call the county inspectors if there's any kind of issue with inspections. If the pool company is a franchise, you could try calling the management for that franchise and telling them, hey, these guys fucked up. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to tell you to not build a pool or scare you away from the process. And if you do go ahead and get a pool, great. I hope it turns out gorgeous. Just pick wisely and just know that there are places where things can go wrong, and try to plan for the worst so that if and when shit hits the fan, you're prepared for it. And this video is not to antagonize Premier. The shitty thing is that you can go to other companies and see similar reviews. I would definitely read what people have to say online, Facebook groups, Google reviews, ask your friends and family if they've gone through this before, but ultimately, do what's right for you and use your best judgment. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Take care, and I will see you in the next video on the Living St. Louis channel.